Today we are going to see the next lesson, endocrine system. The previous lesson we are seeing the nervous system which coordinate the activities of all the organs and sense organs also we are seeing. Now one more system which coordinate the activities of all the parts is endocrine system. This is the system which plays an important role in chemical coordination. The metabolic activities that are taking place in our body requires this chemical coordination. Then only they will function together, because each system is made up of organs. Each organ consists of tissues. Each tissue is made up of cells. So all these parts coordinate for the function of that particular system. All the systems coordinate for the functioning of the body. Okay. So this chemical coordination is done by endocrine system. Okay. Before starting this endocrine system, I want to introduce certain terms. First one, glands. What are glands? Endocrine system consists of endocrine glands. Okay. What are glands? And if you go back to tissues, type of tissues in our body, glandular epithelial tissue, they are secretory in function. There are organs which are made up of glandular epithelial tissue are called glands. Okay, and their main function is secretion. On the basis of that secretion and the distribution, process of distribution, these glands are classified into two categories. One is exocrine glands. Exocrine glands secretes enzymes. Their secretion is called enzymes, which are very important for various activities. And these enzymes are taken by, they are stored and taken by a tubular structure called ducts. Okay, these ducts takes this enzyme from the endocrine glands to the different parts. D-U-C-T-S, ducts. So, glands which secretes enzymes which are connected with tubular structure called ducts to take the enzymes to the different parts are called exocrine glands. Next, endocrine glands. Endocrine glands are the glands which secretes hormones. They did not have any ducts. They diffuse, the hormones are diffused straight away into the bloodstream. Okay, so they are called as ductless glands. Ductless glands. These endocrine glands are ductless glands. Exocrine glands, glands with duct. Exocrine glands secretes enzymes. Endocrine glands secretes hormones. Enzymes are taken to the part, particularly the part which requires it, by a tubular structure called duct. Hormones are straight away diffused into the bloodstream. They are not taken by any duct. Okay, so the endocrine glands are called as ductless glands. Next, enzymes and hormones. The secretion. Difference between enzymes and hormones. First, enzymes are secreted by exocrine glands. Hormones are secreted by endocrine glands. Enzymes are taken by the duct to the different parts, stored and taken by the duct. Hormones are not stored. They are not taken by the duct. They are excreted. If they are excess, they are excreted by the kidney. Okay. So, these are the difference between the enzymes and hormones and the chemical nature. Enzymes are proteinaceous, whereas hormones contains proteins, amines, amino acids and steroids. All these three combine to form the hormones, chemical composition of hormones. Whereas enzymes, 90% of enzymes, proteinaceous. Okay? But hormones may be either proteinaceous or amines, amino acids or steroids, or sometimes mixed together. Okay, so we have seen what are glands, what are the two types of glands. how do you call the secretions? How the secretions are taken to the different parts or target parts, and what's the difference between enzyme and hormones? Now it will be better to go into the lesson endocrine system. We are going to see endocrine system. Okay, now we are going to see the endocrine system. Pituitary gland, thyroid gland, thymus gland, parathyroid gland, pancreas, that is islet of Langerhans and pancreas, adrenal gland, and gonads, ovary in female, testis in male. So all these forms the endocrine system. If you take any system, each system is made up of number of organs, and this endocrine system it consists of all these glands, endocrine glands: pituitary gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, thymus gland, then islet of Langerhans, that is in pancreas, adrenal gland, ovary in female, testis in male act as gonads. These also secrete hormones. In addition to reproduction, they secrete hormones. They act as endocrine glands. Okay, all these glands together form endocrine system. We are going to see one by one the glands, location, structure, secretion. What will happen if they secrete more? Hypersecretion. If they secrete less, hyposecretion. This is what we are going to see. And we are not going to see everything, thymus gland and parathyroid gland and all, gonads of course in reproductive system we are going to see. All these we are not going to see elaborately. The main thing is pituitary gland, thyroid gland, pancreas, adrenal gland. Okay, these four we are going to see. But we will discuss about these things also, these rest of the glands also in this. First, pituitary gland, location. It is located just below the hypothalamus in the brain. The brain, forebrain, cerebrum, olfactory lobes, diencephalon, thalamus and hypothalamus. So just below the hypothalamus, just below the midbrain, corpora quadrigemina, this pituitary gland is located. The size of the pituitary gland is size of the pea. Okay. And it is kept on a stalk called infundibulum. The stalk is called infundibulum. It is made up of two major lobes, and in addition to this, one more mediate lobe also present, but it is just reduced or absent in human beings. Okay, we are going to see the human endocrine, human physiology, human endocrine system. Okay, so these two glands. The anterior gland is called adenohypophysis, and posterior gland is called as neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis secretes 6 hormones. Somatotrophic hormone, it is also called as growth hormone because it plays a very important role in growth. If it secretes less, dwarfism. If it secretes more, gigantism. Okay. The next one is thyroid stimulating hormone. The thyroid gland is stimulated by thyroxine stimulating hypothalamus. It secretes a hormone which the secretion, hypothalamus secretion induces a thyroxine secretion. So this thyroxine secretion it is induced by this thyroid stimulating hormone. In addition to that, thyroid stimulating hormone induces the thyroid cell to secrete thyroxine, and if it secretes less thyroxine will be secreted. So hypothyroidism. If it secretes more, if it induces more cells to secrete more thyroxine, hyperthyroidism. The next one, adrenocorticotropic hormone. This adrenocorticotropic hormone induces the adrenal cortex. Adrenal gland is another endocrine gland. Adrenal gland we are going to see elaborately. Adrenal gland is adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. This adrenal cortex cells are induced by the adrenocorticotrophic hormone to secrete adrenaline. The next one, follicle stimulating hormone. Follicle stimulating hormone induce the ovarian follicle to secrete progesterone and estrogen. Okay, ovary is also one of the endocrine glands in addition to reproduction. So they induce the ovarian follicle stimulating hormone induce the ovarian follicle to secrete progesterone and estrogen. Then luteinizing hormone. This luteinizing hormone is present both in male and female. In male, it induces the secretion of ovary. In female, in male, secretion of testosterone. In male, it induces a secretion of testosterone here. In male, here it induces the secretion of estrogen. Lactogenic hormone. After giving birth, the milk has to be secreted. For the secretion of milk is induced by this lactogenic hormone. Okay. See here, these follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, lactogenic hormone. All these three hormones are connected with the reproductive system. So they are called as gonadotrophins. They are also called as gonadotrophins. Next we are going to see neurohypophysis. Neurohypophysis secretes two hormones, vasopressin and oxytocin. Vasopressin and oxytocin. This vasopressin is also called as antidiuretic hormone. Antidiuretic hormone. Because it is responsible for, in excretory system, you have seen tubular reabsorption. Certain percentage of water and mineral salts will be reabsorbed. This reabsorption of the water by the urinary tubules, that is the nephrons, tubules of the nephrons, are done by vasopressin. So if the vasopressin secretes less, the reabsorption of water will not be done. So more water will excrete. Okay. So more water will be frequent urination. More water has to get excreted, sent out. Frequent urination. This condition is called as diabetes insipidus. Diabetes insipidus. Diabetes insipidus is one of the type of diabetes. It is due to the less secretion of antidiuretic hormone. Diabetes mellitus is due to the less secretion of insulin secreted by the islet of Langerhans in the pancreas. Okay. So diabetes mellitus and diabetes insipidus. These are the two types. Diabetes mellitus, if you check, the main function of the insulin is to make the cell to utilize oxygen. Utilize glucose. If they are not utilizing glucose, glucose will be there in the blood. And blood is filtered, glucose, excess glucose will be there in the urine. Okay. So if you check, test the urine of this diabetes mellitus due to the less secretion of insulin, those patients, the presence of glucose will be there in the urine. Whereas in diabetes insipidus, due to the less secretion of antidiuretic hormone, if we test the urine, there will not be any presence of glucose. Okay, that's the difference. But both will be having diabetes. If you take polyphagia, polyuria, polydipsia, these are the three symptoms. Polyphagia, abnormal hunger, and polydipsia, abnormal thirst. Polyuria, frequent urination. Okay. So polyphagia, polyuria, polydipsia, this will be there. And in diabetic insipidus, they will have polydipsia and polyuria. Polyuria, why? Frequent urination, because the water is not being reabsorbed due to the less secretion of antidiuretic hormone. And since more water is excreted, they will feel thirst. They will feel thirsty. So that is called polydipsia. They will consume more water, abnormal thirst. Polydipsia they will have. Okay. So that is the problem with the vasopressin, antidiuretic hormone. This oxytocin. Oxytocin is a hormone which is secreted by the neurohypophysis. It makes the uterine wall to contract. Once the fetus is developed inside the uterus, it has to be, gestation period gets over, it has to be pushed out through vaginal canal. That we are going to see in the reproductive system. So this, in order to push the fetus through the vaginal canal out, the uterine wall has to be contracted. Okay, this contraction of uterine wall is done by this oxytocin. Okay, so these two hormones are secreted by neurohypophysis. So this, if you take the pituitary gland, see, it is thyroid stimulating hormone. It is controlling the thyroid gland. Adrenocorticotrophic hormone. It is controlling the adrenal gland. And follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, lactogenic hormone, it is controlling the gonads. Since its secretions, pituitary gland control the other endocrine glands, it is called as master gland. Okay, it is called as master. Why do you call? Which is called as a master gland? Why do you call it as a master gland? Pituitary gland is called as master gland. It is one of the endocrine gland which controls the other endocrine glands. Okay, so we finish discussing this pituitary gland. Okay, next we are going to see thyroid gland. Next one is thyroid gland. This thyroid gland is located in front of the neck, on either side of the trachea, just below the larynx. Larynx is a voice box. Below the larynx, on either side of the trachea, it is present in the neck region. And this thyroid gland, in the front portion, it is connected with a band of tissue. It is connected. The connected part of the thyroid gland is called isthmus. It is called as isthmus. If you take the back part or portion of the thyroid gland, it has 4 lobes located, embedded. And these lobes are nothing but parathyroid gland. Parathyroid gland. Okay. So parathyroid glands are located in the thyroid gland. Okay. So the secretion of, now we have seen the location and structure. Secretion of thyroid gland. Thyroid gland secretes a hormone called thyroxine. And this thyroxine is responsible for all the metabolic activities. Okay. If it secretes more, hypersecretion, hyperthyroidism. More secretion of thyroxine leads to hyperthyroidism. Due to this hyperthyroidism, we will get 3 types of problems. Simple goiter. Simple goiter is swelling the thyroid gland, swelling the neck, this part. It is swollen because of the less secretion of, because of the iodine, less consumption of iodine. Okay. Due to less consumption of iodine, here it leads to simple goiter. And this is seen only in the people, those who are having thyroxine is, if the thyroxine secreted less, we lead to 3 problems: simple goiter, cretinism, myxedema. Simple goiter, it is due to the less consumption of iodine. Iodine is important for this secretion of thyroxine. If iodine is less in our food, it leads to hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism, less secretion of thyroxine. And this is seen in the hilly region. In the hilly region, iodine is less in soil as well as sea breeze also. By the time the sea breeze reaches the hill station, the iodine present in the sea breeze get disappear. Okay, so those people are prone to get this simple goiter. So how to solve this? They have to consume iodized salt. The next one is cretinism. Cretinism is another important hyposecretion of thyroxine problem. It is seen in the small children. Okay, it leads to dwarfism. The growth will get retarded. Okay, that is called cretinism. More iodized salt should be consumed. Then myxedema. Myxedema is swelling in the face and the neck. It is seen in the elderly people. Okay, so myxedema, if the thyroid gland is not functioning properly, if it gets degenerated, so less thyroxine is produced. So due to this, they have this myxedema. Okay, sluggishness, swelling in the face and the hands. Okay, face, legs, hands and all. So all these are due to less secretion of thyroxine, hypothyroidism. The next one is hyperthyroidism. If it secretes more, these hormones, if they secrete, this is also problem, more also problem. If the thyroxine is secreted more, it leads to exothermic goiter. Exothermic goiter. And this exothermic goiter, the heart, thyroxine is responsible for the metabolic activities, no? So the metabolic rate is very high, heartbeat is high, and fast they will breathe. Okay, and they have the goiter in the neck. So all these are the symptoms for this exothermic goiter. Old people only will get this exothermic goiter because of the degeneration, because of the secretion of more thyroxine. Okay, metabolic rate is increased. So all these are the problems involved in hyposecretion of thyroxine. Okay, so we have seen thyroid is one of the endocrine gland. It is location, structure, and parathyroid gland. Parathyroid, in addition to thyroxine, it also secretes calcitonin. Okay, but thyroxine plays a major role in this. And the parathyroid gland secretes parathormones. That is not there in the syllabus anyway. You better learn parathormone, which plays an important role in calcium percentage in the blood. Okay. So with this we are finishing thyroid gland. Pituitary gland we finish. Thyroid gland, parathyroid gland. Thymus gland is located just above the heart, and it is responsible for immunity. It is one of the immune system, organ of immune system. Okay, and in addition to this, it is one of the endocrine gland because it secretes thymosin, a hormone called thymosin. That also is not there in your syllabus text standard, but better to know all these things. Okay, so thymus gland. Next we are going to see another important gland, that is islet of Langerhans, located in the pancreas. Next, we are going to see pancreas, which is one of the parts of the digestive system. This pancreas is called as 2-in-1 gland. It has this organ. The pancreas is an organ, one of the organ of the digestive system. It contains exocrine as well as endocrine glands. So it is called as 2-in-1 gland. Okay, the pancreas is called as 2-in-1 gland. And the exocrine gland, it has pancreatic cells which secretes pancreatic enzyme. That will be taken by the pancreatic duct to the duodenum, pancreatic duct. Okay, and in the pancreas, it's a flat leaf-like structure. In the pancreatic cells, in the midst of pancreatic cells, we can see the endocrine glands located. This endocrine glands located in the midst of pancreatic cells in exocrine gland. They are called as islet of Langerhans. These islet of Langerhans is made up of three types of cells: beta cells, delta cells, and alpha cells. Beta cells secretes a hormone insulin. Delta cell secretes a hormone somatostatin. Alpha cell secretes a hormone glucagon. Okay. And with this insulin, the main function of the insulin is to convert glucose. The food that we eat will get digested and broken into micronutrients. Glucose is one of the nutrients broken in the digestive system. It is diffused into the bloodstream. The blood is taking the food. Okay. So the blood contains glucose. The insulin converts this glucose into glycogen and store it in the liver. Okay. Then this the glucose, it is not actually converting the glucose into glycogen. It induces the cell to utilize the glucose. Okay. The insulin induces the cells to utilize the glucose, and excess glucose, it is inducing the cell two things. One is for utilizing the glucose, for oxidizing and releasing energy. The other one is we convert this glucose, it is inducing the cells to convert the glucose into glycogen and store it in the liver. Both are done by the body cells, but they are induced by this insulin. So insulin is not converting the glucose into glycogen, it is inducing the cells. That is why they used to say glucose tolerance. If you go for the diabetic patient, you go for the test first time, they will give a tumbler, full tumbler of glucose. They will ask them to drink. After 1 hour, they will test the blood. How much glucose is there? How much is the capacity of the glucose tolerance capacity is there in their body. Okay. So the cells, how much ever they can consume, utilize glucose, they will do. The rest, they will convert it into glycogen and store it in the liver. So for both the activities, they are induced by this insulin. Okay. The next one, this alpha cell secretes glucose. So once the glucose present in the blood is utilized, we will be having, the glucose will not be there. So we need energy. No, whenever the glucose is there, it is utilized by the cells and oxidized, the energy is released. If the glucose is not there in the blood, then how the cells will get well oxidized and release energy. So whenever we need glucose, the glucagon, alpha cells secretes an hormone called glucagon. It induces the liver cell to convert the glycogen into glucose and send it to the bloodstream. Okay, so both are doing functioning together. One is inducing the cells to convert glucose into glycogen, utilize and convert the excess into glycogen and store it in the liver. The other one is whenever the blood is required, the energy is required, we need glucose because carbohydrates, energy giving food. So this glucagon induces the liver cells to take this glycogen, convert the glycogen into glucose and send it to the bloodstream. Okay. This delta cells secrete somatostatin. It inhibits the secretion of insulin and glucagon. Okay. Suppose if the secretion of insulin is less, then the glucose level will be, the cells cannot convert the glucose, utilize the glucose. They cannot utilize the glucose unless they are induced by insulin. Okay, so insulin secretion is less, the glucose level will be more. The cells are not utilizing glucose, no, so the glucose level in the blood will be, that condition is called diabetic mellitus. So what are the symptoms? Polyphagia, polyuria, polydipsia. Abnormal hunger, abnormal thirst, frequent urination. Okay. Okay, let the glucose be there more in the blood. What is there? Let it be there. If anything, whatever, not only glucose, if any nutrient is excess, that will be, the blood will be filtered by the kidney. That gives more work for the kidney, number one. Then the concentration of the blood will increase. If the concentration of the blood increases, the speed of the blood flow decreases, because it might give a drop of honey and drop of water on the bone. The honey will come slowly, water will come down fast, because it is diluted, this one is concentrated. So same thing happens in our bloodstream. The blood become concentrated, the speed will get decreased. Okay, let it go. From the birth till death, it is running. Let it go little slowly. If they go slowly, the hemoglobin present in the RBC only providing oxygen, especially our brain tissue. They cannot survive more than 5 minutes without the supply of oxygen, because oxygen is oxidizing the food and releasing energy. Okay, if the brain tissue, death of brain tissue, we cannot replace it. Okay, so death of the brain. So it should go in a correct speed. For that, they must be the correct composition. The composition of blood should not get disturbed. So for that reason only, this glucose should be decreased. And not only that one, whenever we need energy, we must have the glucose. Suppose if it secretes more, the insulin is secreting more. It induces the cells to utilize the glucose more and more. Okay. And what happens? There will not be any more glucose in the blood. So that leads to hypoglycemia. Hyperglycemia, more glucose level will be more in the blood. Hypoglycemia, the glucose level is very low in the blood. Low sugar only, very, very dangerous. Okay. It leads to death, coma stage. They will go to coma stage. Okay, more sugar, glucose, we can control by doing some exercise and taking the medicine to increase taking insulin injection. But if it go below the normal level, it leads to coma. So hypoglycemia only, that is, if the insulin secretion is less, they will go to coma stage. That is called insulin shock. It is called as insulin shock. Okay, so we should be cautious about hypoglycemia as well as hyperglycemia. The glycemic index, in the nutrition chart, they will give glycemic index, which food is having high glycemic index and low glycemic index, normal glycemic index. By following that one, the people, those who are having this hyperglycemia and hypoglycemia, can maintain their glucose. Okay. So pancreas location is located in the duodenum, and it is 2-in-1 gland. It has exocrine as well as endocrine gland. The endocrine glands of pancreas is called islet of Langerhans. Islet of Langerhans consists of 3 types of cells: beta cells, delta cells, and alpha cells. Beta cells secretes insulin, which induces the cells to utilize glucose and convert glucose into glycogen and store it in the liver. And alpha cell secretes glucagon, which induces the cells to take the glycogen and convert it into glucose and send it to the bloodstream. This delta cell secretes somatostatin, which inhibits the secretion of insulin and glucagon. The less secretion of insulin leads to hyperglycemia, and more secretion of insulin leads to insulin shock or hypoglycemia. So glycemic index is a chart which shows the glucose level, the glycemic index of each and every food items. Better to follow this one. It is available in the net. Okay. So with this, we are finishing this pancreas. Okay, we finished pituitary, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus also we have seen few lines, and pancreas we finished. Next we are going to see adrenal gland. Next endocrine gland is adrenal gland. above the kidney, like a cap. Location just at the top of the kidney, each kidney. What? Adrenal gland, a pair of adrenal gland we have. And if you take the section of the adrenal gland, we can see the longitudinal section. It has two layers, the outer cortex and inner medulla. The cortex secretes, adrenal cortex secretes adrenaline. This secretion of adrenaline is induced by adrenocorticotrophic hormone secreted by pituitary gland. Okay. Then this medulla secretes number of hormones, but major hormones are called as cortisols. These cortisols can be classified into two categories: mineralocorticoids and glucocorticoids. Mineralocorticoids, they maintain the minerals in the blood like sodium, magnesium and calcium. Glucocorticoids, they maintain the level of carbohydrate, fat and protein in the blood. Okay, so that is the function of cortisols. Now we are coming back to this adrenaline. It's a very important hormone. It is also called as emergency hormone. The emergency time, whenever we are in the problem, we are in stress, that time this hormone is secreted in the blood. And it is also called as hormone of fight and flight, because it is helping preparing our body to fight in the situation. Either we have to fight or we have to run away. Okay, so for running as well as for fighting, both we need energy, and that energy is given by this adrenaline hormone, adrenaline. Okay, and how this one is inducing us. If you see any accident, you will not look at the accident like this and all. You will look at the accident like this. What happened? Your eyes and your pupil got dilated, and you will breathe fast. Your hair on the skin will become straight. Your body will become chill. Heart beat fast. So all these things, all of a sudden, all these takes place in our body when we are facing that situation. Why? That time, to face the situation, adrenaline is secreted in our blood. It induces a heartbeat, increase the blood flow to the muscles, provide more energy, okay, and cool the body by secreting this sweat. So all these are done by this adrenaline. That is why it is also called as the hormone of fight and flight. Either fight against it or run away from that place. Okay, so this is called emergency hormone. In athletes and all, they used to take adrenaline only for increase their capacity in their in the competition. Okay, and how they find out whether they are taken? They used to say no, they are taking drugs. They are taking drugs. How they find out this hormone? All the hormones, nutrients, everything, excess will be there in the urine. If they test the urine, it will be there more. The blood, it will be there more. Okay, by testing blood and urine test, they will find out whether excess is there. If excess is there, more than normal quantity, then they would have taken extra. Okay. So, this adrenaline is also called as fight and flight hormone, emergency hormone. Cortisols. This cortisols, mineralocorticoids and glucocorticoids. No. And this cortisols secretes less, hyposecretion, leads to Addison disease. This Addison disease, they have the hypoglycemia, less glucose level will be less, and BP level will be less. Then the patches on the skin. So all these are the symptoms for Addison disease. If it's the cortisols are secreted more, it leads to Cushing's syndrome. This Cushing's syndrome just opposite to this. Hyperglycemia, high BP, obesity, okay, and swelling in the neck and face, retention of the salt and water in the body. So all these are the symptoms of Cushing's syndrome, which is induced by the hypersecretion of cortisol. So we have seen location of the adrenal gland, and adrenal cortex secretion, adrenal medulla secretion, hyposecretion of cortisol, hypersecretion of Cushing syndrome, and special activities of our emergency hormone adrenaline. Okay. So with this, one more point we are going to see, that is the negative feedback. If the hormones are secreted in our body, normal level, everything will be okay. If it secretes more or if it secretes less, the body got the facility to induce the secretion. If it secretes less, induce the secretion. If it secretes more, control the secretion. Okay, that we are going to see the next one, the negative feedback. This negative feedback to the hormone, secretion of hormone, we are going to see. Hypothalamus release thyroid releasing hormone. Okay, and this thyroid releasing hormone induces anterior pituitary to secrete thyroid stimulating hormone. This thyroid stimulating hormone stimulates the thyroid gland to secrete thyroxine. If the thyroxine is more, again hypothalamus secretes TRH, thyroid releasing hormone. Thyroid releasing hormone induces the anterior pituitary to secrete thyroid stimulating hormone. Thyroid stimulating hormone induces the thyroid gland to secrete thyroxine. More and more thyroxine is secreted. What happens? It inhibits the secretion of, it reduces the level, it maintains the level by either inhibiting the secretion of thyroid stimulating pituitary gland to secrete thyroid stimulating hormone, or inhibits the secretion of hypothalamus thyroid releasing hormone, so that the level is maintained. So this mechanism is called negative feedback by the hormone. We have naturally gifted by God this in our world. Okay. So with this we are finishing endocrine system, one of the important system in our body. Okay, next we are going to see the reproductive system. Okay children, bye.